Welcome to Go For Side Effects. I'm your host, Kevin Simon. Y'all know my two co-hosts, John and Wade. Wade, John, how y'all doing?
Doing great.
I'm good.
Y'all know Paul. Paul, how you doing, Mr. Air Force Man?
I'm good. Just waiting for my Kansas City Chiefs to start winning some football games.
And our United States Marine Corps, Jason, how are you?
Doing great.
That's what I like there. Well, we have breaking news. Well, I don't. Wade does. Wade, hit us with that breaking news.
A lot of people might have already seen this. It's been all over Facebook today. If you had time to look on Facebook, but the ICD code has been approved for Go For illness. It's going to take effect October 1st of this year. So the next time that you go in to talk to your primary care, you can ask them to add that code to your medical problems list. The stipulation, if you will, is that you are going to have to qualify for 3 of the 6 modified Kansas definition, which was one of the original. They had the Kansas and the CDC definition, but the modified Kansas, meaning, and that breaks down to the category of the 6 categories is fatigue, neurological, cognitive, gastrointestinal, respiratory, and skin. So if you have 3 issues that fall within those 6 categories, then your primary care should be able to add that to your problems list. This is something that Dr. Galam, Dr. Sullivan. Oh, and I do want to give a huge shout out to Ronald Brown, our guest from last week, my airborne brother, who gave me a call to give us this. This was literally just released today. You can call and give me a heads up so we can put that out here tonight. And now it's been a long time. I've been one. I've said for a long time, Kevin and John have talked about, and I've talked about it, that I really don't see the benefit. And I'll be honest about that. Now, and I'm not being a Debbie Downer, but I don't really see a benefit of having an ICD that says you have Go For illness. To me, I'm just looking at it as a layman. I don't really see where that really tells the doctor anything. Go ahead, Paul.
Okay, a little bit of background. I spent 25 years consulting into healthcare IT. Okay, so I know the space pretty well. The ICD stands for International Code of Diagnostics, version 10.
Correct.
Okay, so if you had your medical records and you flew to Portugal, you don't speak Portuguese, they could see all those ICD-10 codes, put them into their Portuguese computer systems, and it all comes up the same diagnostics and in Portuguese. 172 countries globally use it. We are the last ones on the planet to adopt it. Okay, what it does is allows the world's veterans, what are the Australian Gulf War veterans dealing with? What are the British Gulf War veterans dealing with? What are the veterans from the, 39 coalition countries dealing with this? So this isn't a United States only situation. This is a situation to where now for the first time, not for the first time, I want to correct myself. This is now a situation to where the medical community as a whole can use scientific data globally and see how veterans are being impacted in other places around the world.
And that's what I can get that. One, if they will communicate and open up the records to do that. And supposedly this is supposed to open up more avenues for more research.
I think the second part's very accurate.
And I hope that does. And if that's the case, and I don't have any qualms about it. I mean, this is something they've been going for, and that's great. I have a diagnosis for reactive airway disease. Okay, that falls underneath airway. When I go in to see my primary care, I have a diagnosis for reactive airway disease. I have a diagnosis for Go For illness. Does it really matter? I'm going to be treated. I just want my treatment. But what I thought was interesting, this is kind of where I go to, and I apologize for looking down. This is a quote from Dr. Galam, who's been on here a couple of times, and hopefully she's going to be on, Kevin, in the near future, is the hopes. That she said this is more than just a code. This is a long overdue validation for the suffering of 250,000 afflicted veterans. And that's kind of where I go to the point. a validation. I don't need to be validated. I know there's a lot of veterans out there suffering, thinking that it's in their mind, and they've been told for 30 years it is in their brain. But I'm just saying, for me personally, I do not need validation that there's something wrong. But I think,
especially if you know that you already have issues, and from side effects of stuff that we got out there.
right?
I mean, I totally agree, and that's where we come into tonight's program.
Absolutely.
This is, this is perfect. What is the top 3, biggest issues that we're dealing with that we think we got from the Gulf War?
Individually.
Individually. But you know what? I want to first start off with me. I'll go first. Chronic fatigue, neuropathy, IBS. Them are my top 3. Them are the biggest problems that I deal with. As far as the fatigue and the brain fog, to me, are almost the same thing, because whenever that brain fog comes in, I get really tired. And so, Wade, what's yours?
Well, I'd say so. So does anybody else? Does anybody else have chronic fatigue? It's here tonight.
I've got. Yeah, I think what happens with chronic fatigue is that it's actually not a diagnosis. It's a lack of diagnoses. It's not your thyroid. It's not this. 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 So it must be chronic fatigue. You can't take a blood test or a urine test or a DNA test to see if you have chronic fatigue.
Right.
I think that is much more widespread than the medical community is giving it credit for. Because I would actually ask the question this way: how many Gulf War veterans have sleep apnea?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Why do you think you have sleep apnea? Because I snore. Okay, get it. But is it obstructive sleep apnea or is it central sleep apnea? There's a huge difference. The reality is, a lot of people are like, well, my wife says I snore. My husband says I snore. I'm tired all the time. Hang on a second. That is more likely than not 2 different health issues. The snoring, sleep apnea, but tired all the time is default a sleep apnea solution. The CPAP machine. I found out after 15 years of using a CPAP machine, I have hypersomnia, which is something people don't get diagnosed very often, which is also, I believe, mistaken as chronic fatigue. So I take a pharmaceutical grade upper every morning to stay awake.
Wow.
What do you call it? I'm sorry.
A pharmaceutical grade upper every morning to stay awake. I take 20 milligrams at breakfast. I take 30 milligrams at lunch to stay awake all day.
See, that's crazy. That's crazy. So now, well, let's go with Paul's next.
So
what are your top 3?
Neuropathy, and I'm going to say energy, because hypersomnia, which is the opposite of insomnia, right? And then type 2 diabetic.
Okay. And
diabetic. Didn't think about it. Yeah.
That was one of the things that when I talked to my neurologist, that because she was brand new, and me and her were talking about neuropathy, and I told her, I'm very impressed with her. I gave her the name of the show. Hopefully she'll watch this and kind of understand what she was very intrigued about Desert Storm vets. And me and her were talking, and she goes, but let's see why you got neuropathy. Okay. So first off is the lining of my stomach is burned. I don't hold B12 spores. So I lose my B12. And let me tell you, after 2 weeks, she looked at all my blood work and everything. She said, you have to take B12 or it just depletes so fast out of your body. You have to take them shots every two weeks. Right? Okay. And well, what happened is the VA, which most of y'all will know, they do your blood work, but this is a specially asked thing that they have to do tests. It took them 7 years to finally give me a colonoscopy, figure out what's going on. I was on a pill for 2 years and I could barely walk. And when they checked my B12, it got down to 70. They started panicking. That's when they were running around. Oh, you got Crohn's. No, you don't have Crohn's. You got this. You got this. You got this. They did every test except for, why don't we check the lining of his stomach for his B12? until 7 years later. And so this is where mine stems from. My B12 creates my chronic fatigue syndrome. So that's a part of it. My B12 created my neuropathy. And so me and her were going over this whole thing that vitamins and everything that she goes, y'all just don't absorb vitamin D and B. There's something wrong, and that isn't right. Something caused that. And I said, well, what caused it? She goes, we're never going to know. And that's why we're going to tonight. And so neuropathy, you can't, there's nothing you can do for it as far as they say. But let me tell you, go get a foot massager. And I promise you it's going to help you like crazy. And if you got neuropathy, use a foot massager at night. It works. And so with that being said, I want to go to Jason because I think Jason's is like, we're going to feel bad after he says his.
Well, let's hope not. But so for me, chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia kind of go hand in hand. I was diagnosed with that back in the 90s, right? So I didn't quite understand it. I just know that if I'd done any strenuous labor, my muscles hurt for like a month, several weeks to a month, nonstop without the relief. And then I would have this pain that would move throughout my body. I didn't understand it. And the VA would tell me that it's basically in my head, which would just really upset me. I don't do well with that, not knowing. But so for for me would be the fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue. Number two is definitely cancer. I'm on my third cancer. It is what it is. Well,
How is that not your number one? I have to ask that. How is that not your number one?
I will get to that. I will.
Okay.
Get to that.
I gotta.
Because for me, the cancer is definitely something scary to go through. I mean, you're faced with life, right? And but so for me, the number one ailment that has plagued me that I really wish I did not have to deal with would be PTSD. And that is one of the most severe things that I've had to deal with without help, if you will. The VA has not been very helpful with that. I have had a counselor that was he was a good listener, right? He retired during 2020, during the COVID thing. He just didn't want to deal with the VA anymore, and I can't say as though I blame him. And but I've never been able to find any help through the VA since him, which was basically just a listener, right? So the way I've been able to function and not become one of the 22 was my wife by my side.
Yeah, that's awesome.
For whatever reason, my wife has stayed by my side for the last 35 years. And most guys with PTSD can't hardly keep a relationship, but for whatever reason, she stays by my side, and I'm so very thankful for her for that, because without her, I probably wouldn't be here, or if I was here, I'd be up in the mountains living off the land and not be around society.
Oh my God, I would love that. I would love to live up in the mountains all by
Yeah,
myself.
exactly.
All by myself. I mean, that to me, that's luxury.
I tell you, I've dreamt about it. I've desired it for many, many years, and here we are.
And see, but that's just it. But just to let you know, there was a study done. If I'm not mistaken, Wade, there was a study done about how many Gulf War veterans have been married multiple times. because they don't know why, but we're like the highest,
Divorce
group
rate.
of veterans that got married. Now I'm going to throw myself into John, but I'm going to go back to Jason in a little bit. But John, what are your three?
Chronic fatigue, abdominal pain, and it's kind of 50-50 on the PTSD and the headaches or the migraines.
The migraines.
So
Yeah.
now I know that Paul mentioned, so I'll be asking him the question a little later, the chronic fatigue, because I know we've shared what each of us uses for the fatigue. The abdominal pain is what's been really biting me. And I can't, in my situation, I understand through everybody's conversation and Wade gone through the researches and stuff. I understand how critical it is to eat clean and properly, which I've gotten significantly better at. But now it's to the point, and I told my doctor, I said, it's like if I eat anything, if I'm going to put something in my mouth, the first thing it's going to have to be is a pain pill. And about 15 minutes later, then I can consume food, and then I'm probably going to have to follow it with a pain pill, which I hate to do it, but before we came live, last 3 weeks have just completely sucked because I just having a hard time getting my head wrapped around the pain. I just, the pain pill helps for a short bit of time, but it's not strong enough. And of course, I was sharing with y'all that my doctor that I see, who's with the VA, I'm her only Gulf War veteran, and she doesn't have any experience. She goes, "You're the one that has all these issues. The others don't seem to have all these issues, but you're my only Gulf War veteran too." And I don't want to ask for pain. I mean, none of us probably want to put a pain medication into our system, but when nothing else seems to be helping, you're like, hey, you got to throw the red flag unless you just want to be miserable, and you throw all of our situations, you throw one thing on top of another, on top of another, on top of another, and your brain's only going to handle so much,
No,
so,
I agree with that.
like Jason, fortunately, my wife has been great, so, kind of, I would have to, for me, very much like Jason, things might be a lot different if it wasn't for my wife. So,
Well, I always found though, if somebody steps on your foot real hard, it makes you forget about your other pain. We could do that for you.
yeah.
Now I'm gonna throw it up to Wade.
Chronic fatigue for sure. That started back, soon after getting back, and that's probably one of the number one factors of getting out of service. My reactive airway disease, either extreme heat, extreme cold. I'm taking a nebulizers or albuterol, and probably is my second most, but it's called cluster headaches. Everybody says, is that like that's like a migraine, and it's a whole nother beast. I had no idea what it was the first time I had it. I always had naggy headaches, but then literally one day overnight, literally a switch tripped, and it starts like melting lava will just come down, and literally the side of your face starts to droop and drag, and burning glass is the only way to describe it. If I'm not mistaken, it's listed as one of the top 5 most painful medical conditions. I have shots, I have pills, I have oxygen. So they put a lot of money into me to help me keep them down.
Boy,
But
I didn't know that.
So yeah, that's I'd rank that up there as pretty one of my worst ones.
Yeah.
And kind of like what John said, I go to the VA in Iowa City, and we're right next door to the University of Iowa. And my neurologist there, he's from the university. And after dealing with him for multiple years, and then when he literally said, you're my only cluster patient. And I'm like, you mean between the VA and the university, and you only have one cluster patient? I mean, that shows you literally the rarity of how rare they are.
That's crazy. That I'm telling you. But so before we get into everything, I want to, Tina had a question, which is a good one. Has there been any study on foreign troops having similar health experiences? I don't know about the Iraqi people, but I do know in some countries they're actually, like Europe is fighting in court right now about it, but they also don't have VAs like we do. So I do know that, and and one thing which I'm gonna have to go here with Jason on this one is this is one of the biggest ones that I normally talk to a lot of vets about cognitive issues. Okay. And I can't say this one, so I'm gonna let somebody else say it.
Oh, geez.
So, real quick about other countries, Great Britain has done extensive research on this. A doctor over there published a study, I want to say in May of 2021. He believed he figured out what caused Gulf War illness, and it was sarin gas used in scuds. And if you can hear us, go Google the UK Gulf War. Yesterday morning, I think I sent a text to everybody here on this group about a study out of Australia. Australian veterans are doing the same thing. We're not the only ones struggling with this. We're not the only ones asking for this to be studied, which was why I'm actually very excited about that ICD-10 code, because I think that then takes this from feeling alone, 500 and some thousand of us here in the States. Imagine being in Australia where there might be only 15,000.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You bring it to other countries, and then I guess the part that ticks me off is like it took Europe a long time to even acknowledge maybe there was something wrong with their troops. Maybe it took them a lot longer than most countries did. Europe did. And Paul will be right back on.
I'm trying to fix my camera here.
Okay, and so, but with like, let's say Wade, I'm gonna go down each one of y'all real quick. Wade, do you have digestive system problems?
Minimal.
Okay, Jason.
Yes.
I'm not a guy. John, Paul.
Yeah.
Digestive system problems.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And so, believe it or not, your gut almost controls so much in your body that, I mean, I did a lot of research on this stuff, and IBS and chronic fatigue actually go together. IBS and chronic fatigue actually go together. Whenever you look up the studies that they've done, IBS can make you have chronic fatigue, and it messes with your mitochondria dysfunctions. Okay. So, research finds that energy production's problems in cells. It explains chronic fatigue, exercise, intolerance, and gut problems. I mean, that's the one thing about it. And they also talked about like other exposures. It wasn't, and a lot of them found that, and I did a lot of research on the shots that we got out there. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I know Wade pulled up his shot records and he sent them to me. Wade has hardly anything written in his record on shots. I couldn't believe that, Wade. Out of the amount of time that you spent in the military and being over there, it hardly shows anything.
Yeah, and that goes back to 87.
It's crazy.
But my biggest thing I was showing you, when we got back to Bragg, which was give or take August 5th, we did our pre-deployment shots, and I received 5 shots, one of them being the flu vaccine. But the other 2 were just normal vaccines. There's nothing else in the shot records. So where is everything else? Where are the rest of the pre-deployment?
Right. And I mean, I know they did a lot of study on sarin gas, but man,
what kind of things, Paul? I got a feeling, I don't know. I'm not near the researcher that I know the weight is. Something tells me, Paul, you've done. I know Kevin has. I don't probably spend that much time researching that kind of thing. I accept what I have in that there's not. I take what we all put together and say, well, I've done this and I try this and I try that. Paul, what do they say is what are people found that is beneficial that helps them dealing with that? Because you all, when I'm sitting here, look at you. I'm a good sized guy and I'm heavier than I should be, and I need to lose weight. So I know that's a thing for me. Easier said than done. But Paul, what have you heard that people are utilizing to help themselves through, if it is indeed that issue?
On what particular issue? Sorry. On
Like
chronic.
the nerve, if it's like chronic fatigue. Now you had shared you were getting
Yeah.
doing
So
something.
on the chronic fatigue piece, again, I think there's labels. I'm going to back up for a second. I think we give way too much credit to the medical community. I'm not anti-doctor. I'm not anti-medicine. But remember, ladies and gentlemen, they are practicing medicine. They're not professional medicine. They're practicing medicine. And we are the ones they test on because they're still practicing. Okay. As my health has deteriorated faster and deeper, I would say, more serious health conditions in the last 5 to 7 years, I've realized how little the health community actually knows. Right? To me, I think chronic fatigue is what causes sleep apnea. There's different types of sleep apnea: obstructive sleep apnea and central sleep apnea. Most veterans don't know the difference because we've been given home sleep study tests. The home sleep study test does not measure central sleep apnea. The question then becomes what is that? What central sleep apnea is where the brain tells the lungs to stop functioning. Obstructive sleep apnea is what everybody assumes they've had, where your neck is too thick. John, you were talking about being overweight. The VA benefits defines being overweight as anything above 25 BMI. There's nobody on this call who's less than 25 BMI, and not everybody on this call is overweight.
Just kidding.
Oh, that was great. Okay, well, except for Wade.
We're taking something, chronic fatigue, I think a lot of us deal with. We're calling it sleep apnea. We're saying the solution is a CPAP machine, when I don't believe that's what's really going on. I feel it's something different. Now, do we snore? Yes. If you give us a sleep study, do we have sleep apnea? Yes, but that is not, causation and correlation are not the same, in my opinion, on that deal. So,
Okay, so I see what you're saying there, Paul, but I didn't do a home test. They sent me out to somebody in my area that actually was not with the VA. They were outside doctor, but that's all. This is all they do. They study it.
they cemented the stuff to your head.
Oh yeah. When she woke me up that morning, she goes, "Do you know how many times that you stopped breathing at night?" And I was like, "Nope." She goes, "You stopped 3 times an hour." She goes, "You had 28 different types of obstructive problems with your sleep." She said, "Now, there's one thing I can't understand." She goes, "What?" She goes, "Movements. You move 98 times an hour." And I was like, "What?" She goes, "Your legs is like they're running." But I believe that's also a part of the neuropathy I have because it burns.
So what I'm trying to get to here is neuropathy is nerve related. I'm not going to ask for a show of hands. ED, nerve related. Okay. Eye issues, nerve related. Central sleep apnea is nerve related. Tinnitus, nerve related. What I'm starting to understand is, as I work with veterans every day, there is an umbrella, common denominator, shocker, sleep apnea, neuropathy, type 2 diabetes. From a physical point of view, the mental health, whether it be anxiety, depression, PTSD, the stuff that we went through, ladies and gentlemen, at the age we did, because that's what you do, doesn't mean it's okay. Doesn't mean it didn't affect you.
And one of the things that she did talk to me about, she goes, "I want to know if you had to rate your stress level being in the military, what was your stress level? I said, was that wartime or non-wartime? And she's like, well, what do you mean? I was like, well, non-wartime, it wasn't bad. I mean, we did stuff. We had chip paint. We did everything both somebody does. Said wartime and you're working 24/7. I was like, you want to scale 1 to 10? Mine was about 100. And because we worked. I mean, I was like, you can't just say, what was your stress level like? Well, I could tell you that. That was, and she said stress played a lot during Desert Storm too. She said, and stress will take your body and just tear it up. And she says, so you think about 6 months, 3 months, 1 month full of stress. How much damage that can do to your body? I was like, I never thought about that. I mean, but it makes sense. It makes sense. If you're always stressed out, your body is going to react differently than when you're not stressed. And I don't know about y'all, but in today's life, everything's so fast paced, probably except for John, because he lives and Jason, they live, these rural areas and stuff. They're like,
nobody ever does anything. They just sit in the recliner all day.
I've been to a rural grocery store, and y'all,
I don't know how, he barely has time to sit down in his chair and talk to us because, I mean,
there's a lot
what
of
do you mean? What are you trying to say there, Kev?
Massey Ferguson, but there's a lot of traffic out there.
Hey, I got a Massey Ferguson. I love it. Okay, sorry, I had to bring it. Okay, so now this is why I said I wanted to go back to Jason, because this is important. Jason, you have 3 different types of cancers, but yet you can smile, you can come on this program, you can talk about it. And I think that right there is probably one of the biggest accomplishments I've seen a man do, is be able to come on this program, having 3 cancers, knowing what you're going through and what is to come. And you can sit up here and have a conversation about it. I commend you for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Our time on this earth has never been guaranteed. Any day that's past the war, hey, that's a blessing right there. So
yeah, see, I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. But and one thing I would say, what I really like about Paul and Wade, they both really know their stuff. If you have questions, talk to them too, mainly. I just host this thing, and and like when last time we were on, y'all had great discussions, and we were able to work through each and everything without anybody getting pissed off at each other. And that's what this is about. This is every branch getting together, trying to figure out, except for Coast Guard. Where that guy is, I don't know. But
he's floating around somewhere.
He's doing something, and so, but like with Paul, with what you did in the military, and I see where you're coming with the sarin gas and the studies that they did. But I think they need to study a little bit more into the mixture of the shots that we got out there.
So I'm not taking anything off the table. Please understand that. All I'm saying is I know that in May of 2021, a number of doctors from the National Institute of Health in the UK, or whatever they call their national healthcare system, I just lost the name of it, came out with this is that, okay, direct correlation, because they did not have the same shot regimen that we did. Okay, so that's another thing about that whole ICD-10 code, is you can sit there and say, what are the commonalities and then what are the differences? Did troops from Kuwait, or not Kuwait, but did troops from Saudi Arabia take the same shots we did? Yes or no? Do they have the same health effects percentage-wise? That, to me, is where that data is going to be very interesting. Okay, and I'm done on that. Sorry. I really feel that big pharma, okay, and the DoD or the U.S. government, whomever, not talking conspiracy stuff, I think big pharmaceutical companies are in bed with the Department of Defense. And every time a conspiracy about that comes out, 10 years later, it proves to be true.
Yeah. I mean,
every single
it never comes out.
Yeah. Or it never comes out. And
it's never disproven, is my point.
Okay. So let me jump in there. So, So just like we had Ronald Brown on last week. So I had many conversations with him. No, we do not agree 100% on everything, but we can have conversation back and forth. You know, right now, he's in the driver's seat. He's in the seat, you know, to help Desert Storm veterans to go forward and do what he's doing. He's the one driving this truck right now. Me, but that doesn't allow. I mean, that allows me. I can still go off and go do what I want to do. You know, I'm free to do that, and that's what I'm doing. But just because two people disagree doesn't mean you can't get along. You know, we're one big community here. You know, and I may not agree with Paul. Well, I do. I always do. But if I didn't, that means we'd still be able to. We'd still be able to get along.
He threw your ass under the bus, man. I don't care what you say. He just threw you under the bus. I don't care what anybody said. John, how does it feel not get thrown under the bus tonight? Jason's up there going, God, I was a
Jason's time's coming, don't worry. But no, but yeah, Paul knows his stuff. So I mean, but yeah, I mean, so but you know, just because people don't agree, you shouldn't be arguing about it. But yeah, you know.
Well, I mean, that's just it. You should have a conversation.
Have a conversation, absolutely.
And our common denominators are different.
Agreed.
You know, it really is.
I feel like shit most of the time, and when I do feel really good, I try and get stuff done, and then I'm going pretty good. And then the next 2 or 3 days later, I feel like complete ass and have no energy.
And that's when he calls me up to make so I can cheer him up, you know. And so, you know, I was looking at me and her were talking about neuropathy. She goes, I want to figure out what caused your neuropathy because a lot of y'all have neurological problems. And she said tremors and neuropathy are a big thing among Gulf War vets. And so me and her were talking, and she said, well, by looking at you, you look like you eat fine. You know, my BMI ain't, you know, weight
25.
Shut up. Anyway,
No,
thanks, Paul. Thanks for bringing that up. And then when me and her were talking, she did say that, you know, she went through a lot. She said, I believe this is her saying it, not Kevin saying it. She believes that the mixture from the oil well fires to nerve agents to bioweapons to you know what we drank, what we ate over there, the heat, all of it was a combination of one big pool that they're not going to know. But she did make the point: the further inland you went towards Camisea, the worse off you got. I mean, I can tell you, I saw a lot of oil well fires. But let's talk to Jason about the oil well fires because he slept underneath them. And why'd they put y'all there anyway? I've been wanting to ask you that damn question the whole time.
Yeah. Well, we're the infantry. We're right on the border. You know.
Yeah, but I mean, can't they move y'all a little bit further down away from the oil well fires?
Well, you know, I mean,
were y'all cold?
Well, you got to have some fire at night. You know, it was a good night light. I don't know.
Because I wondered that. I was like,
it's just where we were located, and they're just right there, right? You know, yeah.
Right, but what a way to give away your position. Like, well, we can see the Marines are over there, but where's the Army?
Wait.
Well, if it wasn't for the oil fires giving our positions away, it was the dingoes. You know, I don't know if you guys experienced dingoes over there, the dogs, but
yeah,
they were terrible.
Oh, were they really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that at all.
Yeah, if you were out on patrol, you stood a chance of being surrounded by dingoes. Yeah.
Did y'all see dingoes?
I didn't see a dingo.
I know Paul didn't, and me didn't. No, I never did.
I saw a few camels, a couple snakes, some big ass spiders.
I saw a lot of snakes.
Saw them for sure. Yeah.
Man, we ain't talking about snakes on this program. Them snakes in that damn water, no way. I don't care what anybody says. That right there was my biggest fear. If I went overboard, please give me a heart attack because my butt did not want to go inside that water. I mean, I didn't care about a shark. I cared about the snakes. Them things were ugly and nasty looking. I didn't want to get bit. And so, I mean, I have no problem walking around. If I see a snake on the ground, it's no big deal. But something about the snakes in the water just was a big deal to me. I don't know. It's just, no. And so, okay, so I did have a question. Shut up, Wade. I have a question for Paul and Wade. So,
here we go. Buckle up.
oh yeah, buckle up. I'm going to get them in an argument. I'm going to love this. Okay, so Paul, if you take with what you know and Wade takes with what he knows, what would your biggest argument be that for Gulf War vets, as far as the misinformation out there and talking about the common denominator, what's going on with them, and the misinformation that comes out on some of these sites that are a bunch of BS?
I think we need to get to the point to where we have to be honest with ourselves. Jason, thank you for mentioning PTSD. Same here. I was nervous to say that.
Okay? Yeah, don't be.
I'm just saying, thank you for saying that, Jason. Right. Proud of you. You made that okay for me to say that by what you did about 15 minutes ago by saying that, because I didn't bring it up. Okay? Talking about that Charlie Kirk video and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, not looking at that stuff. We have to look ourselves in the mirror and say, it's okay to ask for help. Step one. Because if we're not willing to talk about or report our health conditions, ICD-10 codes don't come about. Treatments don't come about. There's no commonality. There's no presumptive health condition for Gulf War veterans. We have to get through, most of us men, thick heads. It's okay to ask for help. Asking for help is not a weakness. Mm-hmm. I would not stand on the side of the highway with a flat tire and sit there and do nothing. No, I would either change the tire, call a buddy, call AAA, call somebody to get some help. Right. We have to be willing to ask for help if we need it. If we're told we need help by a medical qualified professional, not our brother or whomever, we have to listen to that, because then it gets monitored, it gets tracked, it gets figured out. We find out that we have 25% of all veterans are diabetic versus the normal population is 10. Why do veterans have 250% more instances of diabetes? Right? These are things that we have to be able to talk about so that it can be studied and discovered. I think that's the biggest thing. Not talking about it being seen as being seen as a weakness.
All right. Wade.
Well, just to build on what Paul said, if you Google the Vet Center, it's a readjustment and counseling center. Absolutely fabulous. Typically manned and counseled by fellow veterans. Myself, I go every 2 weeks without fail, have for the last 27 plus odd years. Now, very little at this point in time to do with military history, more with life in general. And that's where I basically have progressed to. So that being said, the Vet Center, they are nationwide, free to veterans. Anyway,
490 locations nationwide. You can find them off the VA's website when you go to locations.
So back to Ron Brown. They're going to be sending out, if everything gets approved, they're going to be sending out letters to approximately 101,000 veterans who were in the proximity of Camisea that they suspect were affected by sarin nerve gas. Okay, that's what they're going to build future research on. Okay, where does that leave everybody else? Okay, that, like he said, that is what he has to work with. Okay, that's where we're at. Now, my question, and it's not that I disagree with him. He is doing his job. He's doing the best that he can with what he has to work with, and he's been working his ass off. So, but my question is, I was at Camisea. He was at Camisea. How many people died direct sarin exposure or chemical exposure during the explosions at Camisea? I'm going to say none. There is no direct correlation of death of anybody directly dying from certain sarin nerve agent, which I find really weird. I find that weird.
Why?
So, Why? I've actually over the last, Kevin and I, you've been talking, over the last month or so, I've been kind of changing my my outlook on things, and just kind of going back, watching old podcasts, old guests, which we'll get into in future. I am going back to vaccines. I am going back to the vaccines, which I was dead, and I'm saying pre-deployment vaccines. That's where I'm going. I'm going back and pulling up my old medical records, my old lab tests, and I'm basically starting back at square one, if you will, and that's where I'm heading.
And there lies also, because Wade has been to several different researchers to be studied on, and so I mean he's a think tank.
It's not so much the poking, it's the prodding I liked.
Yeah.
How many of you, how many of the five of us here, do you guys have problems managing your body temperature? You get like
I always run a fever.
Crazy?
Oh yeah.
Heavy sweater.
Yeah.
Especially nowadays, the older I get, the cold. I can't handle the cold.
I always run a low grade fever. Always.
I get like hot. I mean, and then it takes me a while to cool down. I don't know why. Okay, some people say, well, you're a pretty good sized guy. Even when I was the thinnest I've ever been, I'd sweat like it was my job.
You were thin?
Yeah. Yeah, bite me.
No, I'm just saying. I mean, I could always see you as a really,
man, those pictures from Desert Storm. What were you, by 180 pounds then?
Yeah, I
those
guess,
pictures.
but that was a good sized guy back then.
I was probably the thinnest I'd ever been in those pictures. But I have a hell of a problem managing, my body temperature. Do y'all struggle with that? Jason, you just said you struggle with it, Paul?
I'm always cold. Like when I had a doctor's appointment this morning, typical follow-up, I think my temperature was 96 instead of 98.
How many have thyroid issues though? Now I'm hypothyroid.
I don't have thyroid issues.
No, I've had mine checked, no issues.
No.
And I just had my annual done literally, a day or two ago. And I, of course, waiting for the blood work to come back, and I don't know what that'll say. But back to, I'm her only Gulf War veteran. And because she was actually asking me some questions. What were y'all exposed to? Why do you have so many problems? And I said, Doc, I told her, I said, we have a podcast. It's called Gulf War Side Effects. The side effects that we deal with because of our time in service. I don't know that she'll actually look at it, but she was asking a few questions, which is actually probably the first time that she's really done that.
Well, I'll say this, and I mean, I want people in the chat who's ever watching right now. I want to hear one thing: how many of y'all started doing dieting? I mean, we ran a program on here for the whole month of May, and I dropped, 40 pounds, felt great. Everything. It changed so much in me. So this is the work that veterans have to do. You got to do some kind of dieting, taking care of yourself, exercising. And I know I'm going to hear this later on in an email. You can do chair workouts. Okay. If you sit in a chair.
If you can do it if you can do it consistently, and that's the problem. My body starts yelling at me, and then I got no gas in the tank left.
Man, but I'm telling you, the dad bod workout that I'm telling you takes no gas out of you. It takes none. I could do it at my lowest B12. It's a stretching, and it's burning the calories. And I mean, I have the app. It says Better Me. And I mean, I recommend anybody to go check that out. I mean, it's a yoga thing, and the VA offers it. And let me tell you something. If y'all don't think the VA ain't changing up, it is changing up. I saw so much crap. Do y'all know that y'all can all go to a research at every major VA for $25? They will pay you to do a chronic pain research. Did y'all know that?
Pay you to do it. They'll pay you $25 to do
$25 to be in the research at your own VA.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I didn't
I
know
mean,
anything
they
about
got some
that.
really, yeah, and now they're really focusing on ALS. They're focusing on multiple sclerosis. I mean, the stuff they always put, the TVs they put up, it's never been on before. Now they're on, and it starts telling you all the stuff that they're doing coming up, and it was just some badass stuff. I was like, son of a, like for women that have they have women yoga for women who were battered in the military. I think that's absolutely fantastic. And that's the stuff that we need to be talking about. And so everybody can sit there and say what they want to about how it is. But when I was there, I felt like this time my doctor gave a shit. And I mean, I said that word. That doctor gave a shit about me, and I feel fantastic about it. I was happy. I was going, wait, man, you don't believe this crap, man. And everything. And I mean, but every VA is different. I do understand that. I know the Northeast. I know the Northwest. I've heard horror stories about them. And I mean, hopefully they need to clean this crap up. I mean, every VA should be exactly the same. No VA should be different. And if they're crappy VAs, get rid of all the employees and hire new ones.
And they do have, like, not everybody gets them, but after every visit, there are surveys that they'll send you. And my VA provider was dermatology, and she said, if you happen to get a survey, I was like, I know, I got you, because they do get, somebody actually does look at those surveys. They
need to. They need to. I mean, number one, don't get me wrong. I hope they're paying them doctors and them nurses and all them good money.
I hope so too.
I the way I look at it, they're taking care of me. I want them paid well. And I mean, every vet, and I hear people all the time saying, oh, okay, all right, vets. I know we're going off the corner here, but they should take care of all the vets. They should let you go anywhere you want. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, it don't matter what doctor office you go to. You take 6 months to get in. Basically, anywhere you go. I can just, and the other thing they're going to be doing is you can have a doctor online. If you have a problem, you can now see a doctor online. I got all that information. I need to get it up, and we need to do a whole podcast on that. It's amazing, the stuff that they're doing. I was like, well, dang.
Can I just bring this up real quick about my Desert Storm buddy that we talked, my Navy buddy?
Sure.
Just to talk about the care that the VA gives. My buddy went in. I hope he doesn't mind me telling the story, but I'm going to tell it anyway. He went into the VA for surgery last week, who is associated with the University of Iowa. They went in and they drilled into his brain right here, down, drilled another hole back here in the back of his head. And then they put a shunt in there with a tube and pulled that all the way through his body down to the middle of his stomach. Now, one, to go have that procedure done, that would scare the hell out of me. So I give him kudos for doing it. But to have medical professionals that, one, can go do that to relieve the water pressure on his brain that he's been dealing with for 20 some odd years, so he can actually start walking and thinking and being a human again. It's just amazes me. And, zero money obviously out of his pocket, which it should be. But to have that kind of care available is just astounding. I mean, it just absolutely amazes me.
Oh, wow. Yeah, oh, wow.
Right. Wow. I mean, I've had some crazy surgeries, but that one I have nothing like that.
Oh, okay. And so here's another one I like to ask everybody. How many of y'all have kidney stones?
I have not.
Well, I've had one.
You've had one. I find a lot of Desert Storm people have kidney stones too. Now, see, I didn't bring that up as one of my problems. I can't even believe I'm talking about this, because every time I talk about them, I get one. I just and everything. Yes. And so when you're talking about the top, it's in the top 5 or 10. Let me tell you, kidney stones are number one, buddy. That's all I can tell you. Kidney
Painful,
stones are
I
number
know that.
one. And I ain't no woman ever going to tell me I don't know what it's like to give birth, because I did 38 of them son of a guns, and the biggest one was 1.5 inches big.
I
And
don't
they
even know
got
how you
stuck in
survive
my
that.
tubes, and it ripped them in half. I had major surgery. It was crazy. And it was, the Navy was like, don't worry, it's never going to move. That kidney stone's
Right.
not going anywhere. Okay. They lied. They freaking lied.
You know what Paul said about practicing medicine?
Yeah. Well, practicing medicine.
Gotta go, Jason. How far you got to go get from? How far you got to travel for medical help, Jason? Out there.
Well, actually, just in Twin Falls here, just uptown, we have the little VA clinic. Just for annual checkups, that kind of stuff, blood work. And then to go up to Boise is about 120 miles, 130 miles.
That's a little bit of a jaunt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Now, based upon your service connectability, Jason, you can file mileage reports, expense reports for those trips, right?
I do know, yes. Yeah.
And now, I'm going to
Doesn't make it easier.
I got to ask this, Jason. So you were telling us the last time when we met you for the first time that you were talking about that you have blood cancer.
Correct.
And I know I haven't done research, but I would like to know, and I think they should come out with a study of how many Desert Storm vets have had blood cancer, because if I'm remembering right, I think Colin Powell had that. And I wonder if that's somehow related. I mean, I know it's related to Desert Storm, but what would it be related to? What type? Would that be oil well fires, sarin gas? You know?
For me, the VA never connected this blood cancer to my service. They did, however, correlate another cancer to my service, but they pick and choose. I don't know.
Well, I have a question. When was the last time you filed on that blood cancer? When was the last time that you filed on it? How long ago?
Oh gosh, it's been a few years.
Okay, you need to refile on that.
It was a presumptive, right? The testicular cancer was a presumptive.
Right.
The
But
blood
I think all cancers now are considered presumptives.
I would say, Paul.
I don't think so. But I'm 100%.
Yeah, but I mean,
I prefer. I actually like the idea of having the VA examine everything, service connect what needs to be service connected. But the problem is just how many fights do you want, right?
right.
And for me, my PTSD I would get so worked up every time I would go to them exams. It just when it was over, I took a deep breath and okay, I had enough, right? and now it's just a fight to even try to get taken care of. Like where I live, when I said that there's no help for people with PTSD, I mean that. You can get telehealth. That's the biggest joke I've ever ran into with the VA. I don't know how a psychiatrist or a counselor or whatever is going to be able to treat someone through a video call.
Yeah, I've never liked that either, Jason. I'm right there with you. It's so impersonable.
It very much is. And
I think it would be good for if you have the flu or something like that, so you don't have to go. That's the way I took what they're going to do on the screen. Is for the minor stuff, not your regular appointments.
Yep. Now, me and my wife did talk about that because we had another incident today. I had a pain clinic today, which was telehealth, which made zero sense to me. But
I agree.
and the lady didn't. I mean, literally, I don't even believe the lady believed me in my story because, well, if, because she took an MRI that I had done back in January or something like that, the first part of the year, and she's a clinician, right? And she's trying to diagnose me. Oh, it doesn't look that bad. It doesn't look that. I don't understand why you would have that pain. My gosh, I've had that pain since I was in my early 30s. You know, I'll be 55 here soon. It just, anyway, it was very disheartening. Not only that, when they're late for an appointment, especially a psychiatrist, when they're 45 minutes late, that is like totally unacceptable. And that is not something that they will put in your records when they write their story about your treatment and everything. They're not going to incriminate themselves. They're gonna fill out certain things. It's almost as if they cut and paste certain things, and then it's not even a true story. And then today, even with the pain management being late to that, I get nothing but an excuse of why they're late. I'm like, because you got back from lunch late? I don't understand this. I mean, this is ridiculous. Did you not even take the time to read my folder? And I don't mean to be going off on that because there's some.
It's true though. But see,
really
that's
good,
what needs to be said.
yeah, there's some really good people at the VA, some good doctors, but the cancer doctors cancer PAs that I've seen, I actually haven't seen a doctor, done a really good treatment on me, and me and my wife, we paid to go to the Huntsman, the University of Utah, and let them check up on me to see if the VA, because we didn't trust the VA, and they brought in a couple doctors. We paid out of pocket, and they went through my entire record of the VA, and they says the VA is doing more than what we will do. That's the University of Utah.
Wow.
And so kudos to the VA. I've always entrusted them with my health care. But this telehealth thing, there's certain things that just I don't think we should
I agree.
we should go down that road, Yes. Sorry, Paul.
No problem. I have never received healthcare the way that I have at the VA. I could do a TV commercial for them. I work for IBM. I work for a little known company called Oracle, who, by the way, the CEO just became the richest man in the world yesterday. I've worked for small little IT companies in my time, right? Unbelievable healthcare benefits at these major multi-billion-dollar companies. No one came close to the care that I get at the VA. Not one. Okay. If you're having a bad experience with somebody at the VA, there is a patient advocate at every VA facility. Do not hesitate to call and say, hey, my name's Paul Schwartz, and I was at the blah, blah, blah location today. Well, don't use my name, but right. All of a sudden, I'm blackballed across the entire world, and tell them your experience. Okay. If they've documented something incorrectly in your records or didn't document it, call the patient advocate. Action happens. Now, like I said earlier, I've consulted into healthcare for 20 to 25 years. What we're talking about is not unique to the VA. It's unique to people in healthcare. Okay. I had to have 3 foot surgeries this year. Anybody want to see my Gene Simmons boot? Woohoo!
Oh, geez. Wow.
Man.
The VA orthopedic surgeon said, Paul, we haven't seen somebody break their ankle and their foot in the way that you have. We're not qualified to do surgery on you. We're going to send you to the University of Kansas Medical Center in downtown Kansas City.
Oh, wow.
Been going there for a year via community care. I looked at the community care bill online because you can do that. I just peaked out at $500,000. The VA has paid that medical center for all of my health care, and I've paid $0 for it.
Yeah, see, that's fantastic.
You can request, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't get an appointment in 30 days, say, okay, great, refer me to community care. And it happens. Okay.
Yeah.
Community care is your eject button. It's your backstop. It's your parachute. It's whatever you want to call it. So, Jason, if you're not getting what you want, and I understand you're in a very rural situation, But 25% of all veterans in America, 4.9 million of us, are in a rural situation. Why? Because we hate people. Just laugh about it a little bit, but
I just
Except for the ones that listen to this program, we love y'all.
but
You know,
here in Twin Falls, Idaho, the central.
yeah,
There was no psychiatrist they could send me to. There's no counselors.
I get it.
Yeah,
I get it, and I understand that. What I am saying though is, at the end of the day, video may be the thing for you. I see the vet center, like Wade was talking about. I will do a promo clip. The vet center, if you go to va.gov, click on locations, put in your zip code. The very last drop down is vet center. 400 plus vet centers across the country. Almost all of them are veterans. They are all, master's, PhD people. And so I'm sitting across the table from somebody who was enlisted like I was, who was in combat like I was, who gets it. And that becomes the foundation for the conversation.
yeah. See, I know Wade's always bragged about that, and now we're coming to the end of the program. But with that being said, next week is going to be a pretty big week on Wade.
I hope it does.
We're y'all need to set y'all calendars for next week, because we are going to have one heck of a show on here. We'll get more details later. We got a really, really cool guest that I'm going to talk about in the after the show that is going to be coming on. If y'all want to get a hold of me, or y'all want to get a hold of one of these guys, y'all can get a hold of me and John and Wade, and on Facebook, or you can get a hold of me at, which most of y'all know. Y'all can get a hold of me at Kevin Simon at GoForSideEffects.com, Kevin Simon at GoForSideEffects.com. Contact me there. I get a lot of emails. I love the emails, especially I want to hear more, and I'm not going to stress this enough. I want to hear more from overseas, different countries. I want y'all to contact me. It's right here. Contact me. I would like people from France to come on, Belgium. I would like, the Chets to come on. Anybody who was over there during the time that would like to tell their story, I would love that, because I think worldwide people need to understand it wasn't just a United States war. It was a world war that we all as a coalition kicked butt, kicked ass. And that's why it was only 100 hours, And with that being said, Paul, thank you. Jason, thank you.
Thank you.
Wade, thank you. John, thank you. I almost said my name. Thank you. Son of a gun. And third person, Kevin, thank you too. So, with that being said, man, y'all go check out Patreon. We're trying to build a program, and we want to build up the program. The more people that get on there, the more that support this program, the bigger we're going to end up being. Go to our YouTube. We're almost at 1,000. We're almost there. But 10,000, me and Wade will jump out of a perfectly good airplane with a parachute together.
10,000.
Not interesting.
It was 1,000.
No, it was not 1,000. It was 10,000. You lost your ever loved freaking mind. 10,000. Oh my gosh! Goodness.
I think it was 1,000 too. I think Wade.
It was not 1,000. It was not 1,000. It was 10,000. Go back and look at.
Maybe it was 10,000 feet. Maybe that's what he's thinking, Wade. Maybe it's 10,000 feet, and that's freaking him out. I mean,
y'all have a good night. We are now going into after show before y'all give me a lot of troubles with these viewers. Y'all have a great night. Thank you.